Okay, call the meeting to order with the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the May 6th Walsh County Commissioner meeting. Just a reminder that this meeting is being recorded on Zoom, so if everyone can just get my attention so we can conduct an orderly meeting and everyone can hear. With that, we'll start with additions to the agenda. Paul,
No, thank you.
Bernie,
I got an update on our dams, I had to check for the Balloon Dam. And then when Jason comes up, I want to talk about the Park River, the city bridge there on 12 in Park River.
okay. Danny?
No, that's it.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Amy? 50? Okay, and then I have an update on the VSO office. All right, everyone was provided a copy of the April 15th, 2025 regular meeting minutes and the monthly bills and a permanent application for the Oakland softball team. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So move.
Second, any discussion? Hearing none, I'll take roll, all in favor, or take the vote, all in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, we'll have employee time. Crystal, good morning.
Good morning. All right, so I just have the burn ban proclamation that we have backdated to Saturday when we put it into motion that I'll need signed. I did speak with Aaron Nord as of yesterday about the weather and the outlook. We're still, as of today, we're in a moderate fire index, which is, you want to be moderate or less, but that's what we were at when we first put it in place because of how dry it is. It is gonna be up into the 90s, so we're still gonna be battling that high heat and high winds. And just for a little reference, I did write down, since we put it in motion, we have had 4 fires. One outside of Grafton up at Highway 17 towards Park River, one outside of Edinburgh, and 2 in Minto within the past 3 days. So good to have it in place. At this time, the way it's written up is that it is in effect until November 1st, 2025. That's how we normally have them written out, that we just have it covered all the way down, and whenever our fire departments feel that we've gotten enough rain to rescind it, then we do. So, any questions on that?
Well, I'd just like to make a comment for anybody, I guess, watching on Zoom possibly. What happened was over the weekend, the fire chief and the assistant fire chief contacted the commissioners. And they wanted to see a burn ban put in place because of the dry conditions in a certain part of the county and not the entire county. But we do have an area of the county that did not receive any rain, which maybe got a 10th. And very dry conditions, a lot of dead foliage out there and high winds. So they requested that we put a burn ban into place, and I guess I felt, and I think everyone, you guys can speak differently, but we felt if the fire chiefs are requesting it, we definitely want to support them.
Yep.
And not have any issues, so.
Yep, and they did speak with every fire chief for every fire department within the county, so
Right.
it was a consensus.
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and have Christie sign it.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, motion carried. And thank you, Crystal, for
Yep.
stepping up and doing this over the weekend. Appreciate it.
Yes. Vote.
Oh, I'm sorry, I did vote. Oh, excuse me.
Just vote.
Better do that. Boy, I'm on. Okay, all right, Denny.
Yes.
Amy, yes. Paul,
Yes.
Ernie,
Yes.
myself, yes, motion carried. See, apparently I can't multitask, I was getting ready to sign.
Don't worry, that's what we're all here for.
Yeah, keep me in line.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Crystal, appreciate it. Okay, doesn't look like anyone else is here for employee time, so Ron, we'll move on to you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Our last community meeting. Will be tomorrow evening at 6:30. Here in the Walsh County Courthouse, down in the farmer's room. And. The election's coming up quickly, the 13th, polls open at 9 o'clock and. Close at 7 p.m. So that's here in the Walsh County Courthouse also. So,
Okay,
And there will be a tour after the meeting,
correct,
correct? Good.
yes. And any. Individuals that can't make that work. I encourage them to give me a call and we will arrange a private tour. But yes, we. Want to make sure everybody has the opportunity to take a tour if they want one.
well, we're on the home stretch.
It's coming quickly, yes.
It's coming very quickly. One thing I'd like to mention that if somebody isn't able to make it to the polls to vote. And they did not receive a ballot, they can obtain one online, can't they, an absentee?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, or they can contact the auditor's office as well, correct?
Yes.
So. Just for anybody watching on Zoom, I'd like to put that out there, because I know I had a couple people ask me about that. And they just went, I said, go online to walshcountyvote.com, there's a tab there and you can request it, so.
Christie, when do the ballots need to be, the absentee ballots be in?
Yeah, so
Fine.
we're kind of at the end of that. I would say depending on where the applications are coming from. If I get one in the mail, for sure Thursday, Friday, we'll be contacting any applications, contacting them, letting them know that they probably need to come in to pick it up or drop it off because of mail time. They have to be handed in by 5 o'clock on Monday, the 12th.
The actual ballot.
The actual ballot has to be, so for them to get the application, then send it back to us and then get the ballot, it's
Right.
gonna take too long. And then, postmarked by the 12th as well, and those would be counted during canvassing. So, yeah, this is the last couple of days of us probably mailing out applications anyway, but the ballots we will be sending up until, and giving them an option to either come in and pick it up, so that they make sure that they're counted on election day.
Amy,
And just as having a graduating senior and one of our family members not receiving her invitation, if you really wanna be sure your ballot gets counted, come vote or bring it in, because. I'm grateful for our postal service, but definitely not perfect, yeah.
Yes.
absolutely.
How many people do you have coming in for election day?
Is there 10, but we're gonna stagger them, so
Okay,
it's,
yeah,
because it's gonna be such a long day. And then, it's all hands on, so, at 7 o'clock, we'll probably need more hands on deck than we will middle of the day, so. So yeah, depending on how Monday goes, because Monday is the absentee board, so we will start processing the absentee, ballots. Depending on how far we get, we'll determine if they'll show, what time some of them will show up, but.
How many ballots do you have in already?
Yeah, that was, I've got just over 1,400, almost 1,500 ballots. Yeah, I think 1,460 as of yesterday, that have been checked in, so.
Why are they being, I'm just curious why they're being hand counted.
It was so expensive to, use the,
Program.
to program, it would not have been feasible, so. So, yeah, we've got a good system that we're gonna do, and, I visited with the Secretary of State's office and, we're not a huge county that, maybe Fargo or somebody else would have done it, but
Yeah.
for us, it was the cost, so.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
That's all I have unless you have.
Do you wanna mention that, there's a interview on KXPO tomorrow, in case anybody wants to
Oh,
tune in?
yeah, we're gonna be doing a radio interview at. Around 8:20, the water cooler, portion of their. Radio program is, we think we start at 8:20 and are done by 8:45, so. We have a chance to tune into that and then WDAY will be coming up for a TV interview. At 9:45 tomorrow, so. Have a packed day tomorrow. So that should be on,
Honey,
Are you?
Yes, she is.
Good.
Yeah. Well, we love it.
Like it or not, she is.
Yeah, I didn't have much of a choice, no. No, so I think, I mean, just the more we can get the word out and get people informed, that's what we wanna do, right? We're just really trying to get everyone informed.
Yep.
And give them many opportunities, so I think Ron's been doing a great job, the whole team has been doing a great job of that,
Everybody, yes.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ron.
Thanks, Ron.
Okay. Good morning, Tanya. We are running a little ahead, so do you mind stepping up now?
No.
Okay, so Tanya has a couple updates for us.
A few things, yes. Um, So. Starting with the emergency management 911 coordinator weed officer position. We are still, working to figure out the best way to move forward with that department as a whole. Today, I just wanted to discuss briefly, because this is taking us a little bit of time. You named Crystal as our interim director. And, we talked at that time when it happened, we didn't make any decisions at all or talk at all about compensation that might come along with it. And because this is taking us some time, I felt it was necessary, we all felt it was necessary to bring that back to the table, okay? So that's the primary reason I have it on the agenda today. Amy and Crystal and I did have a conversation a couple weeks ago, I think it was. Just to talk about this a little bit, talk about expectations. In that meeting, I did discuss a little bit, similar situations that we've had in the past, but none of them are, of course, true apples to apples, right? We did have an individual in the sheriff's department that stepped up, an administrative assistant role and stepped into kind of that jail administrator, jail coordinator type position for a period of time when we were, working on a lot of DSCR standards and cleaning a lot of things up. And at that time, the commission chose to do $350 a month for that person in addition, and it was just for that brief time period, person that came on away again. Other situations that are maybe, the closest thing that I can find it comparable. When we had a gap in the auditor's office, when we had one staff member left in that office, when previous auditor left, we had a deputy 1 and we reclassified her to a deputy 2, but no additional compensation was provided. She ran that office for 3 to 4 weeks, I think, on her own, and then we had new staff in. When we had a gap in the highway department, we had 3 kind of higher level staff members that we were able to kind of divvy up the work to, right? And so no additional compensation was added at that time. So none of these, of course, are apples to apples, not at any one of those, right? They're all different unique situations. But Crystal has been doing a very good job. She has stepped up and from what I've seen is keeping the office running smoothly. And so I know we appreciate that.
Very much.
And so, Crystal, when we talked about that, about what is appropriate, what expectations are, the step 1 for the position that she's stepping in right now is interim, right? So the step 1 of that scale is about $840 a month higher than where Crystal is right now, okay? Crystal was thinking that is an appropriate place to be put on temporarily or during this interim period. That's what she was feeling is appropriate. And she was also feeling like that needs to be retroactive, to April. I just said that I would bring all of this information to you as a board to discuss and for you to ponder, and we'll take it from there. The only other, I was trying to think about other, pieces of information that I could share with you that might help facilitate the conversation. And the only other thing that came to mind is I do recall, it didn't happen here, but I do recall in another location where when this sort of thing happened, they did a kind of a flat $500 a month. If you are stepping in as an interim director or department head of some kind, it was a flat $500 a month. And that was kind of standard. Which I guess I do like that idea. We don't have, as you can see by the examples I've shared, we don't necessarily have a standard. Every situation has been unique. But it would be nice to apply some sort of standard or methodology to when this does happen, I guess, so.
Okay, I'll be the first. I do like the standard. I like having the standard so that if we're in this situation again, everyone kind of knows. What would I get if I step into that role? And it is somewhat. I hate to say, use the word expected, but when we do have the level, you know, right below the department head, it is expected that if that department head vacates their position, you do step up for an interim period. They're the most knowledgeable. I don't think they'd want somebody else coming in, you know, so I personally like the idea of a standard of, say, $500, you get a $500 boost if you step into that position for an interim period, you know. Just till we can kind of get our ducks in a row. If we, you know, if we restructure or we backfill the position or whatever it may be. I feel that it could apply to more than just this specific
Right.
position. If we have it help happen elsewhere in another department. Then we have a standard set. So I like that idea. Amy,
I do agree. I will say that I think with this kind of happening and this department in this situation and Crystal being a little bit of the example, I would be in favor of looking at April though as well for compensating her for not really knowing, you know, being a little bit in limbo, still doing the job, doing a good job at it and not really knowing what her role is. You know, she's taken that on. I agree that they have to step up, but there also is a little uncertainty with it too. I mean, we've not known, we're still in that process, and I just wanna be sure that our employees feel appreciated in what we're asking of them as well. So I'm in favor of that, but I do feel that we should go back.
did we have a period of time though, I mean, right when it happened, we couldn't even meet because April, you were on vacation, right, or going on vacation, weren't you, right when it occurred?
Yeah, so it was the first and then I was gone that weekend so I was back for the next commissioner meeting. I was here for that, but.
So like
everyone got
April
vacation.
15th,
Mhm, yeah, I was back.
okay. Paul?
One question I have is how many staff members do you supervise in this?
Receive right now, yeah, 7.
To me, that's a component of this. You're asking somebody to step in as a department head and manage X number of people. For me, I kind of like the idea of the step one on the position that she's filling. Because that makes sense. It's not an arbitrary number. It's part of our salary. That great pay scale, thank you. So that's what I like about that. We're talking about $300 difference, I think, the way it sounds. To me, it makes sense to put her there. And I'm thinking of that specifically because she's taking a department head position at the last minute without reservation, and plus her position is still vacant.
Mhm.
And somebody's doing that too, and my guess is it's her. I don't know that, but so I do like the idea of a standard, but to me, step one makes a lot of sense.
My only concern when we talked about the step one is that a lot of times when we hire a department head. They bring certain things with them, you know, maybe education, it may be experience from elsewhere, things like that, so that's why I was leaning more towards you know, a set bump, because we're not looking at any of that, right? Although we are expecting you to step up and do the job, so I can go both ways. Here it's a $300 difference, but I'm just saying in the future, let's say this happens again, it could be a, you know, much bigger difference, but.
Can I just comment on that?
Yes.
Too? The only, I think you have excellent points, Paul. My only concern or thing that we need to ponder is that in this situation, it's $840. There are times though that if we have a very long-term deputy, those pay scales overlap. So it might be a drop in pay to go to step one, you know what I mean? So if the pay scale of the person right underneath them, if they're at the top of their scale, we say, you're gonna go to step one, that might be either very similar or a back step.
Mhm.
So I think the only way, if you were going, you would almost have to apply both standards together, if you were gonna go that route, say step one, or at least X amount, 5, whatever it is. That would be
my biggest concern with that sort of
That's a
approach.
good point.
Mhm.
Can I comment?
Yes, Crystal.
Okay, so as far as training goes, when you come into emergency management, you don't need a degree, same with 911. You don't need to have any of that. Basically, a lot of it is on the job training. You go to the state, to be able to learn about all the processes. To qualify for our EMPG grant that we are currently in, for your salaries to be reimbursable, you have to take, an amount of training within your first year. So someone new coming into that position would have a year to be able to fill, to be able to do all of that training. And it's about 11 classes through online FEMA independent study classes. I've taken 18, so I'm already past that. I also went to, you can go to the Emergency Management Institute in Maryland, to do the basic academy for emergency management, where if you want to start becoming like a level 1, level 2, and level 3 emergency manager through our association, you need to take those classes. They offered it in Bismarck about 5-6 years ago, so I went, county paid for it for my per diem, everything, and I am, have all that certifications as well. As far as 911 goes, there's not a lot of necessary certifications, but when it comes to all of our programming with our NCIC, I am our TAC and our LASSO person for our area. I'm proficient in our systems, and when I'm not, I'm learning, as well as I already have all the connections with the state and our local, emergency responders. So, and we board as well. I've been in this position as an admin for 12 years. I've been with the county for 14. So I feel like that should be taken into consideration rather than just, well, it's a flat rate. Because if you want to give me a flat rate of $500, that's less than what somebody else coming into the position with less credentials than I have. That's, so to me, that doesn't seem appropriate. And that I feel as well.
Excuse me, and I guess I was looking at it, excuse me. Allergy season is lovely. I was looking at it as a whole, not just your specific or our.
And that's
specific
understandable,
situation
but a
there.
lot of it,
Yeah.
if you're thinking about that too, that's one department. Somebody's handling one department. I have 3. So I'm handling 3 departments as well as 7 employees. So if you want to set that $500 standard, that's acceptable, but is that for one department? Because I have 3. So do you get what I'm saying?
The difference there is they're not 3 full-time departments.
Yes.
That's why there's 3 departments combined, because they don't justify a full-time position. So, Ernie.
But they could, that's, weed department, I understand, definitely not, but EM and 911 could justify just with the amount of work. So,
when you talk FEMA, I know that Brent and Jason used to work together, and are you qualified for the rules and qualifications to do our FEMA work in case let's just say we had a flood?
Yeah.
Are you qualified and have the other?
I have all the accesses to the grant programming, same one that Jason has, and I helped him
Okay.
and Brent when they were going through everything.
Luckily we
So-
didn't have one this year, but as soon as that
Yeah.
happened with Brent, I thought, God, what's gonna happen if we have a flood in FEMA?
Jason.
Okay,
Bigger issue we have right now, honestly, for projects is going on the floodplain management.
I'm the floodplain manager as well. Technically, that's under Brent's duties.
Yeah.
You don't have to technically be certified for it. I have spoken with Tyler at the state. I have taken one training. He's been sending me some different emails for different trainings as well to be able to continue on. But for that more in-depth certification, if you want it, which is not required, but for which Brent wasn't certified technically. He went through the training at EMI, but he didn't have a certification as far as I know, to be able to do that. So as of this time, the stuff that I have gotten in, I've tried to review myself as well as had other people check over to be able to sign some.
Okay, Paul.
I have a thought, just kind of throwing this out there to see what everybody thinks, but how would it be if, it sounds to me like we have a person here who is bringing a lot to the table. But if we said we would do a minimum of 500 or step 1, whichever is greater.
going in the future.
Yeah, well, in this case, and moving forward, that way we have a baseline.
Mhm.
I don't know what that will look like when the next one comes along, but I'm just. I think we do have a case here where we do have a well-trained, we have money invested in this employee. We're really talking about $300 a month here. At least in this case,
Right,
I'm not sure if that's exactly how we wanna put it, but that's what I'm thinking.
so my question to you, Paul, is, and not this case specifically, I'm just again looking at the bigger picture. Say we have the situation where department head vacates and the person under that department head next in line has a year of experience. Are we gonna bump them right up into a step one? Or are we gonna look at this on an individual, are we back to an individual case by case basis?
I think in that case, we have to ask that, is that employee qualified? And likely not in that case.
So then you'd be looking at a $500.
Well,
then
yeah,
possibly.
or you wouldn't
Wouldn't even make
fail, you wouldn't make that.
Mhm.
You know, in this case, we made that move and she agreed to make that move. In that case, you would leave that department head vacant likely.
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
know, I'm thinking out loud here at this point.
Yep, me too, so just good discussion. And Tanya, you have things to add, feel free.
Maybe, maybe we need to think about this a little more. In my mind, in this case, I think step one is the appropriate move, but I'm not saying that should be the standard either.
Okay.
When we had our conversation and discussion, Crystal came in and pretty much said, if you were to go to that range, she would probably be a step 3 or step 4. Brent was a step 20, the highest, right? So when you look at that that pay scale for what she's doing coming in, I mean, that's the other thing to keep in mind. I think I'm just here, my feeling is I just wanna be sure that we're keeping in mind all that's being done, because if we didn't have Crystal, we'd be in a really hard spot from a perspective of having someone just kind of step into shoes that she's already been very exposed to for and I just don't want to take advantage of that. That's my feeling.
I think we just need to, be cognizant of the fact that we are setting precedents anytime we do something like this.
And that's
So-
part of why I don't know if we wanna set a standard, like, there is a part of me, I mean, I think of certain departments, so. Ed's department, other department heads. Is that a realistic that we just say $500 or step, and I'm more comfortable saying, I think it's more appropriate to look at a case by case, that's my feeling more than.
Reasonable.
There's so many different departments and people in this, it's pretty hard to set a standard. I mean, you look at experience, you look at things that happen and qualities and responsibilities. I don't know if I feel comfortable with the standard either, case by case, and. I mean, we don't get them that often, I don't think it's too much trouble to sit down and talk about it. That's just my feeling,
What was that, 800 and how much?
840 is the difference. 860, am I recalling right? I thought I looked at or did the math and it was 840, but I might, it's somewhere around 850, okay?
Correction of step what?
That's just the step one,
That's
yep.
Step one.
No, you're right, Crystal, thank you, 860, I was recalling wrong.
60?
860, yep.
I would make a motion that we approve Crystal to go to a step 1 for the interim.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Crystal?
Is this retroactive for April as well?
Yes. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, I'll take the roll. Jenny,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Ernie,
Yes,
Amy,
Yes.
myself, yes, motion carried.
thanks, Krista.
Thank you, Crystal.
Thanks, Crystal.
Is that job being advertised?
No,
Not yet.
not right now, no, I'm still kind of doing some research and gathering data, so. Any further comments on that or questions, or can I move on to the next one?
Okay, can move on.
Okay, so as we all know, our auditor has put in her notice, unfortunately. And so I just need to know what you want me to do right now. Do you want me to get an ad out? Of course, we also have a deputy role in that position that are in that office, excuse me, who has
it has decided to go back to school as well, and so we're gonna have another vacancy within that office. A lot of you will recall, we had kind of a similar situation when this office was vacant last time, in that we had a couple of people leave at once. So my biggest concern right now is continuity, because I saw what happened in that office when Christy came into that office. We had too big of a gap there, and it really cost us. Honestly, it really, really cost us. I don't wanna see that happen again. So that is my kind of like gut thought is, let's just make sure we have continuity, because, and we're in a better place than we were then, for sure, because we do have other staff that will be here. But that's kind of what I keep coming back to, is making sure that we have continuity. And so the position has changed, of course, since we hired Christy.
I'm sorry, can I just hold you off for a minute?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, we all know this because we've been informed, and of course it was in the newspaper, but we're in a commissioner meeting today, and I think it needs to be announced, like that.
I'm sorry, yeah.
No, that's
yeah,
fine,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
fine. But, and maybe Christy, you wanna speak, but,
I would rather not.
you'd rather not. Well, I hate to put words in your mouth, but I do think that we need to, for anyone watching on Zoom, we need to, be transparent as to why you are leaving the position. So I guess I'd like that to come from you and not from me, because
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I visited with Todd and I think that Todd did a great job
very good
Um,
job.
with,
Yeah.
making sure that, I feel I was very passionate when I was talking to him about the reasoning why. But yeah, it has nothing to do with any of you guys sitting around the table. The workload, any of that. It was just, it was a personal decision, and the longer it takes me, the more I feel like I shouldn't have to explain myself. There was some comments on Facebook, those bother me, and I reached out to the person that posted it by phone, and I tried to, get them taken down, and it wasn't, so people are taking it out of context, so it doesn't matter what I say. They're gonna use it for whatever agenda they have, and I just don't wanna be a part of that. So, but Todd's article was point on. I'm not leaving because of anything except personal reasons. I just don't feel like I have to explain myself. I don't wanna taken out of context, and out of respect for me, I just feel like, I said my piece.
Okay, so then I will say it for you because it was in the paper. Christy was sought out.
Absolutely.
She was sought out by another company. Word got out that she was a very, very good employee, and I always said we gotta be careful about breaking her off. Because then people look for them, and she was a very good employee, and she was sought out. She was upfront with us. She said she was not looking for another position. She was not looking to leave. She was simply sought out. It's very simple. She was sought out by another company. They gave her an offer she couldn't refuse. So, the fact that anyone would like to make it out to be more than what it is disheartening. We're very, very sad to see you go. Obviously, we're very disappointed to see you go, but we appreciate, Christy, the transition you took us through, because you came in during a difficult time with the new transition to the software, and you took us through a very difficult time, and you have us in a much better spot than we were in before the software transition. So, we're happy for you.
Thank you.
We're happy for you because everybody has to do what's right for themselves.
Right.
And that's all we want to see is people that are, I want to see happy employees.
Right.
And if this was the best choice for you, and it sounds like it was, then we all need to move forward.
Right.
People change jobs. Why is it such a big deal when it's in government that, oh my God, somebody's changing a job? People change jobs all the time nowadays. It's an employee market out there. So, appreciate the time we have. Wish you the best.
Thank you.
And I appreciate that you're willing to stick around and help us through this next transition.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, that's what bothered me the most, is, knowing, like, I'm going to miss it as well. I really enjoyed it, and so it was a very hard decision. People are talking about, the conversion and me getting burnt out, and I honest, you guys, it was not that. I would, knowing now, I would accept that position 2 years, I would still have taken the job and gone through what I went through, and I explained that,
elsewhere as well. I would do it all over again if
Mhm.
the opportunity came about. I'm going to miss it, you know, I enjoyed local government. It was a hard decision. It still is. I still am doubting myself. So, you know, if it was an easy decision, if I wasn't being truthful, the decision wouldn't have been hard, but I don't think I was burnt out. I don't think that it was the workload. It was just, I just feel like it fits better with my personality. I found I'm more of an introvert than what I really expected, to be honest. And that, at the end of the day, that's what it turned out to be. I didn't want to explain myself because I'll get taken out of context, but again, I would not, I have said it many times in commission meetings, I would never have stuck around if it wasn't for the support you five have given and Karen Anderson have given, you know, so, all that could be laid to rest, but I could, go blue in the face talking about it, so, yes. I'm gonna miss you guys all as well.
Well, we're definitely gonna miss you and appreciate everything you did, so Amy.
Yes, I mean, I wanna reiterate just how grateful we are for where you brought us. It's been just, I'm so grateful. And I have mentioned to Christy too, that I really feel we need to be mindful about, you know, obviously we need to get it out there to fill, but I also think I wanna be sure the job description is what we need. So I think we need input from a financial perspective when this is auditor, treasurer, like what are the job qualifications so that we get the best applicant to be able to pick up where Christy is leaving off. It is a department head role, it is a super, you know, it's one of those where it matters who's in there and, so that's my biggest thing is that before she goes, and obviously soon, I really think we need to look at her position and be sure it's exactly as close to what we see going forward. If there's something in there that you know, don't feel is necessary or that needs to be added, I'd like that reviewed before the job description goes out personally.
Bernie.
Are we gonna make it in the form of a motion? But sometimes we've been go both ways, but most of the time when somebody resigns at a meeting here, we put it in the form of motion.
And we will,
Okay.
yeah, I just kind of wanted to, we kind of dived right into moving forward.
Yep.
I thought this really hasn't been announced at a commissioner meeting, I mean.
My apologies.
No,
Yeah,
that's
you're right.
fine, it's just word got out and it was in the newspaper, so of
Yeah.
course everybody feels like it's out, and it is out there. But I needed it announced at a commissioner meeting that you are resigning.
Yep.
On good terms,
Yes.
You
and we just wanna put everything to
And
rest.
to finish that, I appreciate what you did and you'll be greatly missed. And you got your jerky in time.
Yeah, none of this was planned.
I wondered about that.
I promise, no, nothing was planned. You were hounding me about it, so.
So Tanya, I'll let you finish now, I'm so sorry to
No,
have
don't
interrupted, but
apologize, we need to do that, you're right, I kind of got ahead of myself there.
it's okay.
Christy has left us in excellent shape, honestly. We are really in a good place. Brought us through some really bumpy times, honestly, if we're being honest with ourselves and transparent. You know, the soccer conversion was not all roses. There was a lot of bumps in the road and Christy worked us through a lot of that. And so, but I don't want us to lose ground, is kind of what my gut is telling me, you know, I don't want us to lose ground. I wholeheartedly agree with Amy's comments that I wanna make sure that the job description is really accurate, a great, you know, capture of what that job entails. It is different from when we hired Christy because we have combined the roles, so we need to take all of that in consideration. We looked heavily for somebody with finance or accounting background when we hired Christy, right? And we got that, you know, coming from a finance banking sort of industry, and that proved to be a great skill set to apply to what we needed here. And I see that to be true again moving forward. But there's probably a lot of fine tuning that I can work to do with Christy on that job description. But that's kind of what my thought is. I will go on and say that the deputy, who also has put in her notice, has agreed to stick around with us part-time. And so my opinion, it's your decision, but my opinion is that we would be foolish to not hold on to her. We have a vacant position in that office that Christy has chosen to not fill as of now, because they've been able to divvy up the work appropriately. But in this transition period, especially, I think we'd be foolish to not hold on to her if she's willing to stay, because we have that vacant position, and so, even, and I guess that maybe I can work with Christy to figure out what that part-time role looks like, if we focus in on one task, within that office, deeds or something like that, or if we just utilize her in whatever way is the best fit in terms of her skill set. So I guess I lean towards Christy a lot in terms of helping us figure out the best way to utilize her. And then bringing in a replacement, a full-time replacement, right? And so something that has, it's always been heavy, and Christy and I have had numerous conversations about this through the course of her employment here. The payroll and benefits piece of it is so big, right? That's just such a big piece in that office that has always felt like, and maybe, I don't wanna misspeak, Christy, so maybe this is too strong of a word, but it's felt really heavy in that office. It's such a big task. And unfortunately, the way things have worked out, it has continually fallen on Christy for the bulk of her tenure here. And that is not right. That isn't the way it's supposed to be, right? It's just the way it's happened, and Christy's handled it great. But I feel like that's put a lot of unnecessary pressure on that role, that auditor treasurer role, that we don't want on that role. There's enough pressure already. So I would say we really, really need to focus on finding somebody in that other deputy position who is skilled in the payroll and benefits administration piece of it. I just think that that's been a missing piece all along that's been very burdensome in some ways. And maybe that's got a really negative connotation to it, but it has been a really heavy piece for the auditor role.
Didn't we actually advertise as our last
We
deputy
did, we
auditor
did.
position, heavy on payroll
Payroll, and
spend?
I think we called it payroll specialist.
We
didn't
did.
Chrissy, I think we called it deputy auditor / payroll specialist, but we're not finding the applicant pool that we're getting, and this isn't to say anything about the staff we have awesome staff. We're not finding people with experience in that, is what we found. In our applicant pool, we're not finding people that come to us with experience in that. It's an employee market.
Mhm. Mhm.
And my question on that is, to be honest, is a deputy, is their pay, and is that realistic? Is there a deputy position that can handle that payroll? This part of it is obviously, like I talked with Tanya, when I've looked and I've gone out on advertising job sites, it tends to be more HR payroll that is a combo than it does tend to be a specific person. I mean, that's the piece that I'm seeing, is that I don't know that it's reasonable that we're gonna find someone who just does that role at the pay rate that you bring in a deputy on. I just don't know that that's.
And the pay maybe needs to be reviewed, we talked about that is our pay line appropriate? The new pay NDACO salary studies were just released last week. Somewhere around May 1, I saw that we got a notice about that, and I was digging into it for some other stuff already, so. I didn't get to it before today's meeting, I was hoping to, but I didn't get to it before today's meeting to take a look at that, if we are way off on that. In terms of a general, kind of giving you a general overview of how that function is handled in most counties similar to us. So like in our, what you would say market, right? It's still a function that's falling under the auditor's umbrella in pretty much all those counties. It's still a function that's falling under there. In terms of combining the HR payroll piece of it, I feel, first of all, awkward speaking to this because I feel like it's a biased point of view, so take that with a grain of salt, right? But I also just want to point out that if you're looking at all encompassing HR, right? There's what I always say, two sides to HR work. It's kind of the strategic side and the technical side. A lot of what I offer to the county is that strategic side, right? There is, though, very much a technical side of HR that I have, you could say, dabbled in Walsh County, right? But that's kind of my role, that's the type of services, I don't really get heavily involved in that anywhere, right, in terms of the work that I'm doing. But that's, I feel like, the piece that's been a heavy part of it for the auditor's office to carry. But a lot of times that's all happening under the umbrella, just speaking in a general sense right now, under the umbrella of an auditor's office. And it isn't uncommon for me to see deputies, auditor's office deputies, at those HR trainings that we're doing, right? They're oftentimes being sent to those trainings because they do need a base technical knowledge of HR, right? They need a baseline knowledge of that kind of stuff. What, does this person qualify for overtime or not? There's like a baseline of knowledge that they need to be able to apply in order to do their jobs well. if you're looking at an all-encompassing HR role and payroll, they really don't fit well together. For the reason that they're both too time sensitive. So. I'll give you an example. If there's somebody doing all encompassing HR and payroll, and it's the 2 days or 3 days of the month where they are intensely focusing on payroll. What if a department head calls them up and says, I had an employee show up who smells like there's alcohol in the breath, what do I do? That requires immediate attention. The payroll requires immediate attention. You can't do both, right? You can't do both well. So I can't say, sorry, or that person couldn't say, I have to call you back in 2 days and we'll troubleshoot. That's not an option. And it's not an option to put payroll off either. So it's just not something that you see hand in hand often, right? Because of that very reason. They don't go well together. There is definitely the HR and HR technical side combined with payroll. That's not an uncommon scenario at all. But what I have seen is that counties will have a payroll specialist, payroll and benefits specialist. But in the time where they're not dealing with direct HR technical work or payroll work, then they are filling in gaps in the auditor's office, so maybe they're working on election work, or maybe they're doing deeds, or whatever it might be, right? They're still filling in their time. In counties of our size, that's what I've seen the most, okay? That where they're still filling in the gap with other tasks, so they're still falling under that umbrella. So take that for what you want, I guess I just wanted to share some thoughts on that aspect of it, so.
Appreciate that. I did a little checking as well. I did talk to someone, that has been in HR for many years. And I said, would you be able to do HR payroll combined? She said, absolutely not. Kind of for the reason you just said. Plus, she said, there's two different sides to HR. There is she said, I can process payroll. I deal with HR on a daily basis all day long. She said, do I know the basics? Yes. I know the benefit side, yes. But she said, am I gonna process the payroll, do the technical end? No, she said, that's not my role, that's not for me. She said, you need two separate people for that. So I guess I did do a little checking as well. To get another opinion on it.
Which I appreciate. Like I said, I feel awkward speaking.
Well, because I knew
it feels awkward.
I know, and that's what I thought. I thought we're putting Tanya in a difficult situation too, so. But yeah, so that is what I found out as well. Very first thing, I was just honest, could you do HR and payroll? Absolutely not, she said. You cannot. She said, that's not a good fit. She said, can you have those two positions working together? Yes. But not one person doing both positions. It just doesn't work. And the downfall I see is if you have just a payroll specialist, is that a full-time position? I guess I would ask you that, Christie.
Without a doubt, there's enough people coming in. I mean, we have 70 employees.
Mhm.
There's 70 benefits. We have a huge benefit package. You got it. I mean, I'm just barely scraping the surface of what is required. Without a doubt, and again, I've always said it's in the best interest of the taxpayers has always been my motto, but without a doubt. Not only the employees deserve to have somebody to go to for all of their benefit questions and all that, but that person needs to have enough time to get proficient at all of the benefits that are offered.
Mhm.
We have many big, ND PERS, I don't even really understand, I 100%, I 100%. That person, Tammy's leading that person can help, could look into the workforce safety and the WSI, and there's all this reporting that needs to get done.
So is that, we have never filled that other position in your office, you still have that open position, so let's say we looked at putting a full-time payroll specialist in the auditor's office, and then we fill the other position that's been open for, but maybe we just revamp them a little bit. Right now they're a deputy 1 and a deputy 2, but maybe we look at that, and maybe we're getting in too deep, this is probably
Right.
something we need to discuss. Like myself as portfolio and Tanya, maybe we need to sit down and discuss this, but.
Yeah.
We need to know where to go, but we do have that open position sitting there, so.
Yeah, and I just don't wanna see us hire an auditor and then the same thing happens, right? Like, if you have someone in the auditor's office and they're a deputy and they don't have experience, who's gonna end up with the burden? the new auditor, you know, if we don't make sure we hire the right person with the right pay,
Well-
experience, whatever it is.
In our defense, we tried to last time, I mean, it was advertised as payroll specialist. So we were going down that app, we've already been down.
Tried,
that road.
it's not worked
We
out,
tried.
yeah.
So we have to have people that want this position, that are qualified for this position. You know, and I think we were eventually going to get there, we just didn't have enough time, you know, but. Paul,
I think payroll has been a big burden on the office since that position has been vacant. I would like to see us try and fill that, like you said, at the same time, if we can't fill it. Or maybe even before we try and fill it, maybe farming out payroll is something to consider. I'm not necessarily thinking that's a good idea. And I like the idea of having a payroll person here who can backfill when it's election time or when we're receiving taxes and have some time to devote to some of those other things. So I'm kind of thinking that's the way to go. But if we can't fill that position like we ran into last time, is it something we could farm out?
contract though,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know if that's even possible or who would be interested in that. But at least that would get it off the auditor's desk.
And Madam Chair, did we ever hear back from, I'm even thinking from a perspective of if we contracted out, get a sense of what would that cost us? I mean, that could give us an idea too of what, when we advertised before, is it in line with what, or even close to what it would cost us to contract it out?
Okay, I think those are all things we need to look into.
Yeah,
Yes, Christine.
Alright, so on my concerns of contracting it out, and you'll probably be able to answer me. Is your personal contact more phone or do they come in person? Cause if they come in person, now we've just lost that portion of contracting it out, cause where are they gonna go?
Right, and I did reach out to, two companies, earlier in the, or when, I think it was earlier in the year. Maybe it was last year, now I don't even remember, but one didn't have the staff to do it. The other one, gave me a price, but, it wasn't in the budget at that point anyway, so it was gonna be a budget time, we're gonna start looking at it. But my concern with that is, the actual processing of payroll doesn't take a lot of time. It's setting up the system, knowing how to set each employee up. All that's gonna have to still get done here. The benefits piece of it, and if somebody has a question about their dental insurance or whatever, that's the heavy piece of it. It's I've been saying a lot, the boots on the ground in the office is where, that's what's lacking. So contracting the payroll piece out, I don't honestly know with what the conversations I have had, what they're willing to do would be very minimal. It would not relieve a lot of the pressure. So that's my concern.
So here's something I've been thinking about. What if we were to try to attract people to apply for this payroll specialist position? Say we were to create a payroll specialist position. To try to attract people, what's the most attractive thing to an employee nowadays? It's a remote schedule, right? I mean, everybody wants to work remote. Could we ever consider doing this remote or even hybrid? Hybrid is more what I would like, where they could come and meet with the new employees face to face. But yet they could be remote for the other part of the position, just because we have been advertising it in the old sense of it's payroll specialist, deputy whatever / payroll specialist, and we're probably not getting the applicants because who knows? I mean, maybe we have somebody that's a few hours away that would be very good at this, but can't be in the office every day.
I think that's something we maybe do think about. However, I think I'd like to see it come before other department heads, for one, to get some feedback on that. I like the idea of flexibility for them, but with that being said, there are set hours you are here. Cause I'm thinking of it from an employee, if I'm an employee and I wanna meet with someone about my benefits or I have a question, if I knew when that person was in, I could write the schedule.
Mhm.
Or if I knew I could email or have a link that I could, a Calendly app or something that I could click on and set up a Zoom. I mean, you don't always have to meet face to face for things,
Right.
you just need the access to the person. And
Right.
so if it was a consistent, then I think that that would be a potential attractor because it gives, what do people want in their jobs? I know for me,
Flexibility.
you finger me and say you're in your cubicle from 9 to 5, out. If you tell me, get your job done, do it well, we're not gonna micromanage you. If you're an excellent employee, that is a big piece for a lot of people, so.
And I know a lot of our jobs, we're face to face with the public, we're government, so a lot of our positions are not even, we can't even consider that. But I feel like this is one position that we maybe could consider doing that on, so.
The one concern I would have with that is. You're not getting the backfilling of helping the auditor's office with other projects.
Right, so maybe it's not full-time, maybe it's 70%, or, we'd have to look at that, but it's just something I wanted to throw out there.
Certainly something to consider, if we can't fill it. In a typical fashion,
Mhm.
I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to that. But I like the idea of being able to utilize this person for other special projects as they come along. When they have time, so, I mean, to me, that would be the ideal, but.
Ernie,
I'm just sitting here thinking, to me, I'd like to see us try hire somebody, and if we don't, we can look at this. And I just look at personal touch, be able to talk, like Christie says, they come in, we lose a lot with our employees. And there's nothing worse, and we all do it, we make a phone call, and then whether it's a doctor's office or here, or wanna talk to a nurse, nobody wants to talk to you, they text you. Maybe at night and they won't let you, and I hate texting, and now you're talking about YouTube and all this and everything else. There's nothing like a personal touch, we're losing that too much in our society, and to me, somebody here. In this office, in this place, if we gotta pay them a little more cause they do it, I think we're gonna have happier employees, cause. She or he's accessible to answer their questions, that's my opinion.
but how many times have we tried? No.
No, I know.
How many times have we tried? Now we're kind of batting
But
zero.
we, the last time, like you said, you labeled it auditor and stuff.
No,
Maybe-
we
Yeah, it was payroll specialist / deputy auditor, so.
Okay, so that's still part of the job when they look at it. To me, sometimes as government, and we've done it before, I think of the auditor time when we did. You put too many responsibilities on it, well, nobody wants to apply.
Right.
If we wanna do a payroll specialist, put a payroll specialist / help auditor and leave it there.
And that could be lower in the job description, backfill in the auditor's office as a deputy when you're not. The other, I don't disagree at all with that, titles matter, because I think that, I remember when many years ago, first was exposed to local government, I had no idea what an auditor did, right? The title auditor is very, unless you live in county government, you have no idea what that encompasses. And so I don't know if there's, I've said that for a while, that I think job titles and the way we advertise positions and grab their attention matters as well, so. So how, time is of the essence, honestly, unfortunately, so. How do you want me to proceed right now? Should I get any ads placed?
I have one more comment before we answer that question. We have had a lot of turnover in this department in the last few years. Which leads me to wonder, is our salary schedule where it needs to be? I don't know, I have never seen it, and I'm not saying it is or isn't, but has it been reviewed lately, or?
We review it on the whole at least every 3 years. I believe this. I can't remember off the top of my head what cycle we're on. We did a handful last year. And so we had made the decision that we would be splitting it out so that we're reviewing a chunk of them every year, but at least every 3 years. And so some, if not the remainder that we didn't do last year, are due this year, right? I believe that's how it is. So they're due for another review. And then when that happens, we make what we call market adjustments to the whole scale, right? And then that's brought to the commission chooses what to do with those market adjustments if you feel like, but it's of course happens during budget time, so.
But as fast as this market moves, 3 years is the,
It's an eternity.
yeah,
Yeah, we're in a very much an employee market, so last year, the ones that we did do were brought to us because we were we had some, you know, critical needs, you could call it, right, that we needed to address, so, now that the market data is available, that's something that I'll be somewhere, find time to dive into that, because that'll happen with this budget process, right?
Just something I wanted to bring in.
Yep.
So what I'm, as a portfolio holder, what I am looking at is I would like to see us advertise immediately to backfill the auditor treasurer position. And I would also be good with us advertising for a payroll specialist. And if we're not able to get someone, then maybe we look at the hybrid work schedule and try it from that route, but that's personally what I'd like to see. I don't think we can not move on this today. We need to get an advertisement out in the paper. We need to get Christie's position backfilled so that hopefully then she can have some time to work with the new auditor treasurer. At the same time, maybe get a payroll specialist in here, fingers crossed if that would work. And then we keep Anna on part-time. So essentially, we would utilize all your positions in that office and, well, 2.5 of the positions, because Anna would be part-time. And I don't know that Anna's necessarily leaving us permanently. Right now, what she said to me is, I have a short time frame to go back and finish my master's program, and I would like to get it finished. And she said, and then after that, we'll see. So, I mean, kudos to her. I think that's great that she wants to
Yep.
pursue that, but she's willing to give us 3 days a week. So I think that's great. So that, I guess that's just my recommendation, what I see.
I would make the motion to fill those, to advertise for those 2 positions and to let Anna work half-time, just as you proposed it.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion?
Is the payroll specialist, is that gonna be looked at?
Yeah,
prior
okay.
to-
I was just gonna ask, do I have your permission to research and make adjustments to that pay line? It's technically kind of a different, I mean, I feel like we're almost reclassifying a little bit and making it much more heavy on the payroll side of it, and so if I have your permission, I'll redo that pay line, that pay scale, excuse me, based on current market data.
Work with Christie on it, Nancy's portfolio, I'm good with it.
Okay,
And I don't know what it said before, but payroll benefit specialist, I mean, would that be a little clearer and like, I agree, you put auditor office in there and said, what does that mean? You know, I
Yeah.
mean.
we'll focus on making sure it's a clear description of what we're looking for. I'll work with Christy on that and get her input as we go, yeah.
Are you comfortable with that, Christine?
Yeah.
Yeah,
are you
absolutely.
comfortable with going that route?
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing, my question is, Anna, is she gonna stay at the hourly that she's at right now?
I think we'll have to discuss that, yeah.
Okay, that's not a motion, it needs to be part of the
Let's leave
emotion.
that for now.
Yeah, okay,
Let's put it
okay,
on.
okay, I just wanna
That's a
make sure
good
that
question,
didn't
though.
miss.
A great question, because we did talk about, in full transparency, right, Christy and I, and both Christy probably had talked about whether or not she's reclassified to that vacant position, which is technically a deputy 1 versus a deputy 2. I guess right now, I feel good with leaving her, we've got her in that deputy 2 spot, and it's because of the knowledge and skill set and what we're asking her to do. So if we're gonna keep her doing a lot of those things, then I don't know, it's maybe appropriate to leave her at that, right? But if we're gonna reclassify and simplify her job tasks to just make the most of her time, maybe we need to reclassify,
I agree. I really don't want to lower pay for her because she's keeping her same knowledge. She's bringing her same knowledge and she's just going to work less hours.
Yeah, I guess,
So I know what you were saying when we had a deputy 1 and deputy 2 auditor. Should we backfill the deputy 2 and put her at the deputy 1, which would be lower, but since we're going to a payroll specialist, I think we're kind of revamping. We're restructuring in your office a little bit, so.
okay, I agree.
Because she is the only one that has the most knowledge on payroll.
Yeah, let's-
For me,
let's-
so
let's
that's, I wanted to,
not
that's my
separate.
concern with moving her to a 1 with her, we will be relying heavily on the payroll experience and exposure she has had, so that was, I just wanted to have an opportunity to voice my concern with that.
Great question.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, with that, I'll take roll, remember. I don't know, it gets to be so long sometimes, it's hard to remember. All right, Amy.
Yes.
Ernie.
Yes.
Paul.
Yes.
Danny.
Yes.
Myself, yes, motion carried.
Okay.
Okay, so I have one other thing, and I think I lost my thought. I do have one other thing. That I can't remember right now. Oh, I'll think of it. No, it was back on the, oh, payroll, I knew it'd come to me. So in the meantime. Do you feel Anna will be able to process? This might not be a fair question, maybe this is something we should wait for afterwards, but here's what I wanna say. I know it's a lot to put on Anna's plate now with you leaving to say, okay, you're gonna take care of all the payroll, Anna. So I have visited with Tanya. We do have a plan in place just so everyone knows that, and I want all the employees to know, any employees that are going to watch the Zoom call today. We do have a plan in place where, it'll be Anna and Tanya. Tanya has agreed, I did ask if she would step up and help with payroll through the transition. So just wanted to let everybody know that, to put any concerns at ease, if anybody is like, oh my god, who's gonna do payroll, like, we need to be paid.
And that was one of our biggest gaps last time, and I don't wanna see that happen. And so I'm gonna be, never even touch you, but yeah, but Christy, but I'm gonna be, I did sit in on a lot of the Tyler payroll training a long time ago, but it's been a long time and I haven't actively done it, so I think I'll go back and get kind of another crash course on. And maybe my goal in doing that, if I'm able to do it at the same time, would kind of be to write some guidebooks, because I know that Christy hasn't had the opportunity or time to do anything like that. She's just been focusing on getting the job done. But maybe that would be an opportunity for me to create a little bit of something that we would be able to carry through and have some consistency, because that's been a struggle, and Christy's just doing everything she can to get the job done, which is super appreciated. So, yeah.
I have started on the payroll expense, that's probably
That
been my priority, because there's so
Sure.
many different things, I mean, it's just a very.
It's very complex, yeah,
Yeah.
Very
exactly.
complex,
So
yeah.
I have been doing
You got-
screenshots and.
Okay,
started
good,
on
so you've got stuff going, yeah,
Yeah,
perfect, yeah.
absolutely.
So, okay, so just so everybody knows, we do have a plan in place, and
Yeah.
we're not running willy-nilly.
And I wouldn't let that happen anyway,
You're-
so I'm gonna make sure that I was.
You would have come back and. done
I would have
payroll
come
for us?
back and done payroll.
Oh, that was
It might- Yeah, I don't even have to get past that anymore.
You're always working behind the scenes to make sure we have a plan in place. and-
No,
But we
I'm
made
sure
it
I
all
could have,
done.
yeah, I'm sure I could have pulled that for a couple more months, but that's fine.
Oh, no, Tanya's gonna be upset with me. Okay, all right, do you have other, I did have an addition to the agenda, so we could move it to here now, if
Is that
that was
okay?
okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so my addition to the agenda was a BSO update, so I'll let Tanya take it from there.
So, it comes in threes, you guys, right? It comes in threes. We, yesterday I received a resignation, unfortunately, of David Vaughn, our veteran service officer, which is, sad to receive. But David I did forward the email to all of you. David has chosen to return to school right now, for IT, honestly, and I joked, I said, really? We might have some IT needs in the town. So, but that, sad to see him go, but I wanted to at least let you know, I got the notice yesterday, he's done at the end of May. I right now would like to just take a little bit of a breath and do a little bit of exploring on this position, rather than asking you to backfill. If you're okay with that. Previously, we have explored this position, has looked very different over my course of years at Walsh County, right? We've had anything from, I think back in the day, there was a part-time, right? And then at one point, I think we had two. I think it looked so different over the years. And I think I have some ideas that I would like to explore, but I don't, it's probably too early for me to even share a lot of that here. But I would like to take a little bit of time, and dig into that a little bit, if you're okay with that. But I need you to know that it is gonna be vacant at the end of the month. We have excellent relationships with our neighboring VSOs, so I'm not too worried, I guess, about, services, there being a big gap in services, because anybody can go to any CVSO, to receive services, so, you don't have to go to the one in Walsh County, so, I just wanted you to be aware of it and ask that we just take a breather before we take any action on filling that, okay with that.
Paul,
I am the portfolio holder for this office, and I visited with both David and Tanya yesterday, and I'm comfortable with her proposal, so I would ask you to give her some time.
Ernie, did you? Oh,
No.
I thought you were. Well, I'd just like to say, I guess we didn't say it for you, but we accept your resignation with regret, obviously. And I would like to say the same about David. We, we do accept his resignation. Do we have a choice? No, we don't.
Right.
That always sounds so silly. We accept your resignation. Well, we don't have a choice, but we do accept it with regret in both, on both positions.
Yes.
But you're right, it does come in threes. When it rains, of course. Any-
I have talked to a couple of vets in the county and, they had a lot of respect for the job David did.
Good, I think that's great, the work that they do is very,
Under the wire.
yeah, it's kind of hidden from a lot of, in the public eye, so we don't always know or understand the services that they're providing, and I spoke to a neighboring BSO, ironically, just within the last day after David's thing, and that person was very sad and said that they worked really well together and they had done a lot of outreach together and things like that, so it does really go fly under the radar a lot. I don't think we see it, and so that's great to hear those things, and yeah, I agree, it's sad to see him go, but. As we've said before, it was a personal decision, and so good for him, support his personal decision, but,
Well, if everyone's fine, is everyone fine with that? Giving Tanya just some time to research so we
Yeah.
can figure out a way how we move forward? We don't need a motion or anything for that, so.
right,
We'll just give you some time and we'll wait for your update.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's.
Well, you
all I
don't
have.
have anything else I hope.
I'm actually on another agenda at 10:30 by phone, so
Okay.
I'm cutting it closer than I thought, and I'm sorry making your agenda run long, but if
No, that's.
no further
fine.
questions for me, I think that's all.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Break
Okay,
time before Jason comes back?
what was that?
Break time?
I was just gonna say, would you guys like to take a break?
Yeah.
Let's take a break for a few minutes, yeah. Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order, and up next we have Jason, and it looks like Wade is here as well. Good
Yep.
morning.
Good morning. Brought Wade in for a few things. We'll just move him up to the final list, so we can let him go about his things. You just wanna run with it? Sure.
Yep, I can go ahead. I guess first off, I'll give you an update. Denny just asked during the break there, but, the bridge that IBI is building right now, they're gonna plan to do a deck pour on Thursday.
Which bridge?
That's the Hankey Bridge.
Hankey Bridge?
Yep. So they'll be pouring the deck on Thursday, so it's moving right along. Dirt guys will be coming in June, so hopefully opened and done by end of June.
Remember what the price was on that? Was that the 1.2?
Roughly, yeah, it was bid together with that other box culvert, so, but yeah, and they're gonna come in, as soon as they're done with the dirt work on that one, they're gonna go get that box culvert done.
And where is that one at again?
Thorson's.
Thorson.
But those were both federal projects.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and then we had two other bid openings last week. One was for the Swanson Bridge, northwest of Nash there. And that one came in about 200,000 under our estimate, so,
Wow, can you say that again?
anything concrete, it was just a email said roughly June, so.
What was the one?
Their estimate was 630 or somewhere around there, so that one was also under estimate. Morris Seal Coat, I think is what the name is, they got that one. I've not heard a schedule on that one yet, but,
Is that per road or?
no, that's total.
Total.
Yep, yep, so was it 12 miles on number 9 and then 2 miles on 12, that goes north off of there. So yeah, that one,
It was like $2,500 separating the two contractors that bid it.
yeah.
Wow.
Per mile.
Well, for the whole project.
So the, yeah, the bids were very tight. Actually on both of them, so it was good to see, that the contractors are still hungry,
Mhm.
so.
Is that what you're attributing to, because both of these bids are low, that they're getting hungry out there?
Yeah, and I'm seeing some of the pavement prices have come down a little bit too, so I don't know if oil is coming down a little, on the emulsify stuff. So I think partly that and partly just that some of them are in the area, the state's doing quite a bit of chip sealing too, so. It's good when you can get them tight.
Yeah.
So, that one is also in your packet there, there's a notice of award, and then we also have a CE contract in there for that one.
Okay.
So, I think, no, do you want me to touch on the intro one, or you touch on
We'll
this?
hit that one next.
Okay.
So we're looking for a motion to move forward with those projects. And then for the signatures forever. So we're looking for a motion to approve both the Swanson Bridge and the chip seal on 9 and 12. And also signatures for the noticeable awards on those two.
For the what?
Noticeable awards. So we get the contractors and go to the next phase of getting everything going, and then sign this grass for.
Do I have a motion? Paul, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, I'll take roll. Paul,
Yes.
Denny,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Ernie?
Yes.
Myself, yes, motion carried.
Okay, the next one we had for you today is a DOT bid, BRJ 005061, it was in your packet. That one came in at $2,446,935.40. This one's gonna get a little bit tricky. So the contractors bid it out, it's bid through DOT, it's through their funding, DOT has 100% funding on it.
What project is this?
This is the Minto Bridge, it is just southwest of Minto, and a bridge removal that is north of Cashel. So it would actually be legal.
Well, I like that screen up there.
Nice.
Oh, that one.
Is this bridge right here,
Yeah.
and outside of southwest of Minto. There's a lot of people that are worried that we're doing this one, that's underneath the water all the time, but it's actually this bridge that we're looking at replacing, so. Gives access to these people to get out, because the flood goes to the north, so all that goes underwater up here. The other one with that is a removal of a bridge that's been closed for years, so we won't have to do any inspections on that anymore. That is north of Cashel. So that'll help us out in the long run as well. That is actually right here. So this bridge will be completely removed. And something that we talked with Martin Township on years ago, because there's dirt on both sides. So they're fine with that one going away. It was just over a legal drain, so that's one less for everybody to have to deal with, us and the legal drain.
So what goes there in place?
Nothing.
Nothing, so that will be closed off.
Yeah, it'll be dead ends, so. We'll put barricade dead ends on both sides of it, and. Really the only people that drive it right now are the farmers that go down to their fields, and it's all, like I said, it's dirt on both sides.
Oh,
So
okay.
there's not general traffic that usually is going down it, unless they're going to play with. Any cost township's money by ripping them up the mud road, so.
Mhm.
The one that's southwest of Minto.
Yes,
You're looking at that one more because there's no access, I mean, how often is that one?
on that bridge doesn't normally go underwater. It doesn't go underwater, it's the roads around it that do. And it's another route for keeping people when it's not flooded, to help to keep some of the farm traffic off at 81 and going through, like the Senex and the fertilizers and those things. But I would be,
That went through quite a bit. That's the road, if I'm thinking right, it's the old Spale farm. I think Ned Berry lives there now, doesn't he?
I'm not, no, it doesn't sound right. I'm trying to think of when they did the right stuff. So the road's to the north, it dips down about at the intersections of the north, so it goes under pretty often. And so this is one, the last round of federal funding, it did get selected, so it does have, like Jason mentioned, 100% DOT funding to it.
Is that Harrison Township?
yeah. So the
Paul,
right on the edge of that, actually the. Border between Forest River and RDOT.
I'm curious how the state got involved. Why is the state involved in these two bridges then?
They're paying for them essentially,
But
so.
why? That's what I don't understand.
So with the flex funding, we had sent in, that's the Swanson one, we sent in applications for. What, we'd sent in 10 bridges, probably 10 different ones.
I'm talking about these.
These were one of the first years that I came in, there was a round of funding available from the DOT to put towards projects. And what they were really focusing on is getting rid of our poor bridges. So what they really liked is when we bundled removal of a bridge and replacement of one. So basically, they're getting a two for us, where they get two bridges removed from the poor list. That helps out with them for federal funding, and it helps us, or we don't have to pay for them. So these projects, we've actually been looking for 3 years.
Okay.
So
So this is a special state thing that
yeah,
they're using federal money.
yes. And that's been part of the reason why we're delayed for doing these, because the federal money from DOT doesn't do the state. So we've had, this one's actually been delayed for a year and a half. For good help.
Is there more of these coming?
Yes.
so that's the same with the Haven Bridge, I'm not,
Yeah.
been delayed as well, is that one coming soon?
We're waiting for some of the, environmental clearance stuff to get pushed through, and our last meeting with the DOT, it should be coming any day, is basically what they said, so. Well, the plans are ready to go, so as soon as that comes, we'll get it, keep pushing through.
So it's possible that could be done this year yet?
Yeah, it's a box culvert, so it depends on what the suppliers have, you
Gotcha,
know, it's,
okay,
Realistically,
yeah.
okay,
But part of the complication for the Hagen Bridge was that it was over a legal drain. That
okay.
added another layer.
Very good, okay, all right, sorry, didn't mean to get you off topic, but I knew I'd get asked, so.
no, that's, our portions, KLJ's portions were done, we're waiting for all the stuff from DOT to come from now.
Okay,
So that one on South Cemento there, is that by section 6? So if I get it, and that's what I said, cause Ronnie Spail used to live there.
Yeah,
Farm
we're
there.
at 6.
Okay,
You know, it's nice to have the bridge inventory here, but I feel like, at least for me, it would be super helpful to have a little bit of even a strategic plan when it comes, like a little for bridge perspective. We have how many bridges total?
498.
So I mean, even if it's a top, just to be able to get a sense of whether it's traffic, whether it, you know, I mean, I do get asked, like, why was that bridge replaced? And I know sometimes we're dictated by DOT on which ones they're looking at, flood, you know, all of that, but I guess at least for me, I don't expect 498 off the bat, but from a perspective of even if it's, you know, top 20 for the year, or anything that is being thought of, done, or in the horizon of this is what we're looking at and why. That is something that I would appreciate, I guess.
Part of it changes with every inspection.
right now.
We have one right now that's not on the inspection. They did their inspection on it and,
don't tell me.
yeah. Their inspection's not right. So,
Yeah, but I get what you're saying, but it just,
But even from a perspective of, you know, I mean, you're a superintendent, so you kind of know the direction you'd like to.
it's. Again,
I think like we said, there are inspections and also they figure drains. When something changes and everything and all of a sudden the bridge is on a drain and then. It's, yeah, you could predict the top 20, but it's just it's a floating, because everything just changes so much.
And I'm not asking for predicting, I'm saying in a perfect world.
Yep.
If you said, these are the ones we'd wanna focus on for, I feel like that would help. And instead of, we're just getting the bridges that are coming to us based on it, and then we can have even some data behind to say, did that happen? Or what are the reasons why they did it, if we didn't work on those over 5 years or whatever it is. I'm just a big fan of.
It's no different than us asking the townships to, you know, they do a bridge deal and which one do you want open or which one? So it's sort of the same deal.
there's your list, everything in red, there's 51 of them. On those 51, 10 are closed. So,
when somebody phones across one with a 120,000 pound semi and
and it changes.
it's on the list.
One of ours on the list is actually the Rasmussen Bridge right here, so just east of 1 meters. The center bridge gap on it is cracked and split. And they just did the inspection and they say it's cracked and split, it's not an issue. But we beg to differ. It's a major issue. We've already started working with KLJ on a process to get it fixed, get it replaced, get the replacement parts here for it. But somehow that one cleared the list. That bridge cap is not any better condition than the one that they closed Nash and dropped that to 5 ton.
Yeah.
So I have concerns with that, and I'll be addressing it again with DOT. But I mean, it's from what we've had and what we've seen, it's not, it doesn't.
It doesn't jive.
Yeah.
So what is-
And this one's a caution, this is what a fair bridge is.
When you say your discussion with DOT, do they argue against it if their inspection says no and we say no, it's gotta be replaced? Or are they pretty open?
DOT will side with us.
Okay.
And
You just look at the size of this equipment. These tractors and air seeders and it's like, oh. And then you look at the age of the bridges.
All the 3-ton tractor across a 5-ton bridge again the other day.
What do these big 4-wheel drive tractors weigh now? Oh, I don't. Most of our bridges they're exceeding the weight limit on the bridge with the tractor alone.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know.
so, back to Amy's request, you know, you have it all laid out there, is it possible to print out?
Letter fours,
Yeah,
Yeah.
could you just give us a printout of that and then we would kind of know? I mean, I like that too, I like that idea of being able to know what's our. I knew you had it, but
Yeah, and I don't, like I said, 498, but then if something doesn't happen, or DOT doesn't allow, or something changes, I just feel like it's a little clearer to see. This was our plan, this didn't happen because, or this did.
mhm,
This is only 209.
Yeah.
These are just like over 20 that are inspected by DOT.
right,
It's sort of the same respect, I sit on the water board and they talk about drains and they got a book and asked Sarah to print at least one of. So we could have it here, one book of all the drains,
yeah,
but when we talk about it, it's sort of. 'Cause I can't keep track of them all.
And I can print a map as well, our GIS guide, I have, it's 10 years old now from the old system, but I have one in my office that's hanging on my wall so that, you know, they all have, you can see the three-digit number that's showing. You know, we call them Hankey Bridge, Swanson Bridge, DOT goes by 50-153-7. So I can just look at that map that's on the other side of my office and I can see it, so I wouldn't be hard, I can get 11 by 17s, see if that's big enough to be able to see everything.
mhm.
Might be kind
We're
of.
That would-
we're
that would
getting
be
old.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that'd be great, I'd
The
appreciate
problem, the
that,
biggest problem you get is when you get tight.
Yeah.
Here.
yeah.
Yeah.
At least it gives us the general vicinity, and if we see a red dot, we know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
We can work on that. The only blue
Thank you.
here is the Minto Bridge, that's this project that we're talking about. What happened afterwards is, well, I don't know if you wanna run it from there or about me, but it's, I spoke. The contractor that won the award. That, they found out they had mathematical error when they bid it. But they didn't find it within the spec frames from the DOT. The DOT recommends we award the project and move forward. So, but the contractor is substantial and they may not sign it. But it basically pushes it onto the contractor at this point. But the DOT's recommendation to me was to move forward and sign it. Because they found their mathematical error, but they did not find it within the specification times or anything else. And if it were a state road project or a state bridge project, they'd be signing it. So that's their recommendation, is for us to move forward and sign it and go from there. If they were to remove their bid. There's, what the next lowest couldn't do it anyways, we have to rebid it.
Yeah.
They didn't have, what was the bid?
Right, DBE, the disadvantaged business entity, they didn't have a high enough percentage on that, so since the low bidder was able to meet it, the next one did not. They made it sound like they wouldn't be able to award it to the next one either. So IBI was at 2.446 million, swinging with about like 3 million. So yeah, basically IBI called and said it was like 11 days later, spec book gives you 2 days. So that's why DOT said they didn't have it done in, or, you know, didn't catch it in time or review it in time. So they recommended awarding it. If you guys award it, and then, you know, once you guys award it, then you send the contract to the contractor to sign. And if they don't sign it, then you get the bid bond, which is 5% of the bid. And they'll sign it and they'll build it.
Say 5% of that's pretty good.
So,
Why,
Yeah.
why wouldn't we sign it? Why wouldn't we award it? I mean, it's not our mistake.
The only reason you're gonna have is you're gonna be a gentleman about it, and it's not our problem.
right, and I mean, they do have, there's a window there that they can and still meet all the specs. So, I mean, yeah, it's a tough situation, you know, I'm not sure how big of a mistake it was. Or if they just look back after seeing the difference in the bids, but again, they could have done that in the first 2 days.
I think we have to recognize DOT's recommendation, right?
That's,
Do you need a motion on that?
yeah, then we'll have to have a signature for that one too, I have that one here.
So are we doing these all, we're kind of combobbling them all together then?
We've done all the motions and we'll I can make sure we sign the right. stuff.
Okay, so we're good. Just wanna make sure.
I'll make a motion, we go with that bid from there. On the BRJ 500-60-1.
Says consultant.
Is that the mental one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll take roll, Denny,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Ernie,
Yes,
myself, yes, motion carried.
One other update for you is also the bridge by Rutherford that'll be replaced with Boss Culvert, that is ongoing, that's on number 6. So that'll be just south of Nash, that'll be. This bridge.
And last I heard from them, end of June, beginning of July timeframe. So again, not a specific start date, but
That's a bridge.
That's a bridge.
it's a bridge currently, it'll be a boss.
It will be a bot.
Yeah.
So we're trying to do that as often as possible. One, splits it out so you don't have to inspect it except for every 4 years. Two, with some of these bridges where they are, you can get rid of the guardrails and everything else, so there's be less of a snow catch. So it's a win-win from our aspects of it. Especially when we have so many inspections we have to do that are on an annual basis. This year they're inspecting 120 bridges, I think. I can't remember the number, but it's.
You get those aluminum boxes figured out?
There's some that bid in Grand Forks County local, and they came in higher than concrete.
Higher.
Yeah.
aluminum, yeah.
There's these tariffs now from Canada.
Yeah, I don't know if it's that or if the concrete ones are just coming back down.
Yeah.
Cause they were all reasonably priced, so it seems like those are starting to come back down finally.
Good, good.
Ernie,
When you talk about these box culverts, did they ever find out what happened to that one in Penland when it collapsed, and when they're just putting the dirt on it? You ever
Just,
hear anything?
yeah, just the soil underneath just, kind of gave out,
Let it go?
yeah.
Okay.
okay,
We don't think there's anything else from your end, is there? I'll get these signed and get them over to you. It probably just bring them over today, if there's some new one.
Yeah, if you guys got any questions on, I know we just hit you with a bunch of different projects, but there's a lot going on this summer, so
yeah,
feel free to stop by or call me or whatever, and I'll do my best to answer any question you guys have.
we appreciate it, thank you, Wade.
Thanks, Wade. Kind of jumped around on this. And so far, but thinking back to the first agenda items I had, it's just 3 drainage permits, all of them are for loader. First one is from Edward Sivany Farms, that's on along number 9, up by Cashel, Evergreen Farms is up there along number 9 for Cashel. And then Steven Schuster on 15 just outside of Warsaw. And they're all areas that the loaders has been bad this last year, so. They're all looking to go up and clean up the ditches and put it back to where it needs to be. So just looking for authorizations on those, the water board's already signed off on, I have no issues with any.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve all 3 drainage permits as presented.
Okay. So a second,
I'll second
any discussion? Hearing none, I'll take roll, Amy,
Yes.
Denny,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Ernie.
Yep.
Myself, yes, motion carried.
Thank you. It's back to. Adam Shaver. So Vesta Township, have that back on the agenda again today. We met on site. Again, talked about a couple of different things. The township had additional meetings about that site as well. What the township has decided that they're going to do is they are going to take on the replacement and of this culvert and the widening of this culvert and taking care of all that work. So they're not worrying about this portion at all anymore. They're just turning that over and they're gonna take care of that. In the meantime, we still have that safety issue on the curb, so our staff will go over there. We're gonna have no cost affiliated with the issues that Chad brought, and we'll just be taking care of our road. So. We're all in favor, they're in favor of that, we're in favor of that, it'll make everything safer and work out for both parties. So we won't have any cost share of their portions at all, it'll just be our section of the road that we're gonna elevate. And make sure we'll make that different safer and protect the culvert at the same time, so. Just wanted to bring that one back up and I won't have to bring it back up for another, but I wanted to bring you guys up to date on the final one.
Yeah, great, thank you.
And then this morning I brought up Ty Martis, he's our new maintenance custodian here. I'll bring him to meet you, Paul, yet, but just wanna let you know, he came, I forgot last commission meeting to announce that we hired him, so we're doing our mowing in-house. Move some mowers around, brought some stuff from Omni that we don't need there anymore. So that we didn't have to really buy any equipment, bought one still trimmer, but that's negligible for them, use the battery for other stuff that we have.
Can I just stop you a minute or ask a question? When you say, so we're doing our mowing in-house, tell me again, what all mowing is that? Is that just the
Just
courthouse? Just the courthouse?
courthouse, we're doing all in-house with our staff here.
Okay,
Bailey is mowing everything in Park River.
okay,
And so that's basically in-house as well. And then we hired, J&R for doing Omni.
okay.
So those are,
When you say the courthouse, you mean this whole
this complex here and a little bit around the shop. This, we're looking at using some stuff around the shop, go away permanently, so there's not much there to mow, take a push over and mow it or weed whip it, but half of it's weeds anyways, so. We're taking a look at some things along our shop because of just how muddy it gets for us, and it's. We take it and put it on the city streets and everything else, all that recycled asphalt product that's down at the pit. That we may have to get rid of anyways, so we're possibly getting to, if we get a lull period. And low purchases, we're gonna start removing some of the gravel around up some of our shops and replace it with recycled asphalt product instead. The water will seep through it and we won't have to worry about it and make it a lot cleaner for the city and for us. And we're looking at doing that in all the shops, not just for Athens. So we'll have more recycled asphalt products coming in, we have the stuff that we already have, so. Let's get to use, so that's that part of the only grounds.
Good.
The last thing I have on my agenda for you today is Tommy. As of 6 o'clock last night, I finally got all the water up in the main campground, the comfort station. Got that up and running, the campground host is there, there's somebody that's been been there for the last couple of weeks, Maurice, he's agreed to do all the cleaning of the bathrooms and things there, so we have that aspect of it. But we still will not be renting out the kayaks, we won't be renting out the paddle boats. They'll monitor things for me to let me know what needs main repairs, but they'll be doing the cleaning of the bathrooms multiple times. He called him last night, said he's got the main one taken care of. Somebody was doing something over the winter and we'll have to replace a lock on the other door because the deadbolt's broken
On which door?
on the small comfort, the small bathroom.
Okay,
They actually, one of them's completely broken, the other one is damaged, so I'll have to replace those again. And it's, the door's locked and they still wanted to try to get in enough, but they damaged them, so.
That's the west one?
Yeah, right across from the garage.
Yeah.
So, and
did they get in?
nope,
No,
no, they didn't get in, but they broke the locks, so we can't even get in.
so do we have a camera facing that, or will we be able to have a camera facing that bathroom since they like to mess with it?
We have a camera that's there, but we weren't there all the time to see what happens, and I can't find it. I've looked through portions, but that's one of the things that I have for today is we had to pull her out. Richie and I met them out there, they came up with a plan for us. The plan is basically $5,000 in cameras that add up there, so we get more visuals and be able to address more of our buildings and the different things we have out there. That doesn't include the power we're gonna have to run through Samsung, that's probably a couple $1,000 more for getting those trenches in. With what we have going on out there, I don't see a way that we can or can't move forward with putting these extra cameras in. For our peace of mind, and for anything that's to help do anything to try and curb without somebody, you know, a full-time employee being able to review these things. I just don't see how we can not move forward, but being it's above my price range, I had to bring it in to you to move forward with it.
So what's the total price?
It's gonna be about $8,000 when you look at the electrical and the cameras.
So that's our initial price, what's the ongoing price?
It'll be $100 a month more that we will be paying for camera monitoring.
Kenny,
Can we close the gates off out there at a given time?
We can close the campground gates at any point in time, but if you have people that are in there and you have to get emergency services in, it's. I don't know, we have to put some sort of code or a lock code or one of those special gates on it that.
As long as the host is there.
But at what point in time do we, if Yeah, the host is there, so we could have the host close it at night, but if something happens at night where law enforcement gets in, needs to get in, it's, you almost need to have something where either they have keys for it and get out and move, but they'd be waiting for anything if they need to get in, or EMS services and that's in special areas or something. What are your thoughts on that, Ron?
I would say that we should not do that. If there's an emergency, a fire or an ambulance calling in, I just think it's a bad thing to have to wait to get into there, so we're gonna have it open. We have it open and, my thought is that we pay for these new cameras and they will help be our eyes and ears out there.
Most of the time in the last how many years, the vandalism always happens after the campground's closed,
In winter?
winter time or something else.
So there has been cameras out there, just you're adding more cameras, is that maybe?
Correct.
So if these cameras that we've had in the past done us any good in terms of catching
Yeah.
bad actors?
Yes,
They have.
Last year was the first year we actually had the two cameras out there, other than, game cameras. And they helped out tremendously. When people started finding out that they were there, they cut down a lot of things. This is actually the first year since I've been with the county where somebody didn't managed to get into the doors and then use the facilities, so we had to clean them up in the spring. Without any water in the bathrooms. Every year before now, they've been able to break into them and do that, so at least this year they didn't do that, but they still caused us enough damage to go out to be replacing ones.
The boxer.
Stops and not in yet, well, it's on our list of things to do, so.
For winter time, being there won't be someone in there now living, though, could we not close the gates
absolutely.
going forward? I mean, that would be reasonable now because,
The gates that go into the campground, not the gate that goes down
To the park.
to the,
right,
to the water.
but
Just a
just
park,
at that
yeah,
point,
play-
because we don't
playground.
need access to it once it's
Right.
closed.
Yeah, we'll be able to lock that from them.
So I have a couple questions for you. First of all, you mentioned we got a camp host. Awesome, wonderful, but I never heard, what is our agreement with him?
He's gonna be cleaning, he's gonna be doing the cleaning of the bathrooms, twice a day, making sure all those things are done. Making, emptying out the trash cans, cleaning out the fire pits, and then monitoring the beach. And the other stuff for any repairs that would have to be done.
Okay, so is that in exchange for being able to free camping? That's wonderful.
That's a win-win.
That's a win-win. And then we have our mowing in place and that contract was April through, was it October? or
October, November, depending on when we get winter.
So we can cut it short if we don't need them.
We said to give them notice in 3 days.
Okay. Okay, good. So, thank you for getting everything in place out there. So now it's our decision is on the cameras. You need a motion on cameras.
Yes.
Okay,
Make a motion to go ahead with the cameras as planned.
motion to have a second. Paul?
No, I'm not saying I have a question, I'm sorry.
I'll second it.
Okay, with a second now, any discussion? That's okay,
Sorry.
that's fine.
Is there like I'm assuming this comes out of the general fund?
It comes out of the general fund through the Homie Dam. Yes.
So Homie Dam that does have a budget to cover this.
Yeah, there's what, 15,000 in there?
And I have a question as well.
Well, we don't have the salary for Susan there either, so that's money there, so it can flex through. Yeah.
So has her cell phone and everything been cut off now? We're no longer paying for cell phone, are we?
Her cell phone is one of the 3, I assume, office. Because there's still people that text message that phone number and through it, so that phone number, the cell phone for that is still on and it gets forwarded to, phone calls get forwarded to mine. Then I have to answer text messages through that phone.
So
So
can't we just advertise that we've changed the phone number?
we can for some things, but not all, but some of them we're trying to figure out who the contact was for some of the businesses, so, but a lot of them I have taken care of for that, but. Yeah, we can change it and we just have to put on everything else, so that's just, well, other people always call my cell phone anyways, but, yeah.
Well, I don't see any sense of paying for her cell phone.
We're almost done with it,
You're getting to a point where it will be discontinued. Okay, so the cell phone will be done.
and then they'll
if-
just have to call the office, I guess.
Okay.
Or myself, or have the county, either cell phone on it.
Tommy has a Facebook page, right? We could always get that information on there. They do
That-
not.
That's the problem that we have, but we cannot change it over from what she had, because Sharon actually created the Facebook page.
Okay,
And she's the admin for it, so I need to talk to Sharon to see if she can put that to me so that I can manage the Facebook page.
wasn't it going to be part of our new website though? Weren't we going to have a page for Hami on our website?
Your website, there's one that I'm still working on, yes.
Okay,
So
all right, so then last question, do we need to do anything else with Susan? I mean, is she getting ready to move? She's ready to move?
She's working on
She needs to be out by May 31st, correct, is what our terms were,
it, right?
because we need that area cleaned up.
Yeah.
That is an eyesore there, and I would like to see that cleaned up immediately.
I'm working on it. She was supposed to be there on Sunday, but she never came down on Sunday, so I was out there on Saturday this week. For taking care of things. I was supposed to be out there on Sunday, but she never came. So I'm spending a lot of time on it.
Okay, well, I don't feel that's fair to you, she should be moving her things.
Well, I'm not moving her things. I'm just going out there to take care of other issues that are coming up out there, but she still has the key for the garage, because it's the only key for the garage,
She's no longer employed,
right?
why does she still have a key?
Cause a lot of the stuff, all of her tools are still in there.
Okay, well, we
She
did give her
does
till
have
May
time to put up
31st.
her tools for it and everything, but then I told her that when I spoke to her last week, told her she needs to come down, so we can do that, and I need to keep back. Cause she's had that month, and any other time she's get her tools out, she can. Both the trailers are out there, one was out there, the camper trailer that Wesley was in, the door was wide open on it. So she told me that they were gonna come and get it, but it's still there, so. It's,
I think we need to stay on top of that, I have fear that we're gonna get close to May 31st and,
I've been talking to her about it.
okay.
She and I talk regularly,
Okay.
probably once a week.
I just wanted to check, so I appreciate that, yep, I appreciate if you stay on top of that, because I think you're gonna need to stay on top of that one.
And I like the idea of Hami Dam on the website versus the Facebook page, like I feel like. You know, when I Google search Hami Dam Park River, that Facebook is what comes up right away. I do see Walsh County down here, but I just think of, I don't know, this cell phone number that's on here, the Rover Pass. 3310080, that's hers, that cell phone, okay. Just from a perspective, you know, the Facebook page was very personal, she put stuff on there, and so I would say. To Sharon or whoever to get admin of that, just to be that less of a, I mean, unless you wanna update it, but otherwise, I feel like the website. Having that come up for people who are searching is.
I have no interest in the meetings and the.
Simplify it.
I agree.
I don't even really update ours anymore from the highway department, with different things that have gone, so, I didn't put things out there and people just complain about what you're doing.
Yeah, it's.
I just,
Oh, it's Facebook?
yeah.
Is there something at the entrance, any of this stuff, like the Rover?
I'm working on a new sign,
Sign,
that have to be out there, there's gonna have to be updated with all those different things, so, yeah. Yesterday I was out through, number 9, and. It's amazing how many people come flying up to the site, and one kid looked at me like, what did put his arms up, like, what's your problem, as I was sitting there with the flagging panel, it says stop. So I kind of showed him what that was a couple of times, and, for the turn to slow, and he gunned it, took off through everything, so. If it keeps up like this, and that's the way it's going to be. We'll just be closing the road. We'll close the entire road, we'll work it through it in safety, and then we're not gonna detour, you'll be able to find your own way around. And we're not gonna play with the guys' lives on this stuff.
I agree.
It's not happening. Another lady came up to the site, George told her to stay off to the side. When you get past the vehicles, then you can pull over. I mean, that's the narrative George and I spoke of before we got there. She came by, went past them. Pulled in through the hot tar, pulled back out, went around our guys. And then got up to me and let me know that she was gonna complain to my boss. Because we delayed her so bad and she was gonna be late now for her appointment. So I asked her if she wanted a phone number for Commissioner Barr or Commissioner Hodek, and she goes, no, I'm gonna call the highway superintendent, and they will. But with these mentalities that we have for them, we're just not gonna play.
No,
I mean,
no,
we can't get, we have one seasonal kid that has applied for us, hoping to get him in for an interview this week, still need 4 more. We've had 1 application come in, we've had 1 application come in for Tammy's position, that's it. The guys that are out there right now are pulled from our gravel crew, so. If we don't have the gravel, once the load restrictions go on, I'm not gonna have those people available. I mean, we actually have 2 guys from the bridge crew and one from our gravel crew that are out there right now. If Tyrone was done with what he's working on as the gravel foreman, I'd pull him out there too. But we just with the staffing, I'm either gonna have, I don't know what we're gonna have to do to try to get some summer staff. We're offering $16 an hour, it's 40-hour work weeks, to get the weekends. We're getting no interest. So it's really tough for me to try and raise that with where our other guys that are full-times. Yes, they get benefits, they don't have that. Some of the kids don't have that, but at the same point in time. Some of these kids here can get $15, $16 an hour jobs and sit in air conditioning and never have to do anything. So we're fighting that aspect of it. So I'm gonna have to take a look at some different things and see what we can do, because. We have to get the asphalt projects, we have to keep that going. And. We also have to keep bridge projects going, we have to keep everything, and the gravel is gonna have to, we got spots where the gravel were. On 6 and 19, where the fabric underneath it is exposed. All the gravel's been taken off of it. What a lot of people don't understand is when you're driving down the gravel roads and you're flying, you see that cloud of dust behind you. That's also your gravel, that's your base, that's everything. And this NDSU has done studies where 1 car going past a road on it per site visit can cost you a ton of gravel. Every trip they go by. So if you have 250 cars go across a mile of road, you can lose 250 tons of gravel off of that, because all your fines, the rock gets thrown in the ditch. That's 15 semis to put it back,
and what period of time?
just 250 a day for a year.
Per year. I think we have a motion on the security.
Yeah.
With the drift out here.
We are, I was thinking that too. We had a motion, we had a second as well, right? You have both?
Yes,
Motion and a second?
Yes, and Andrew.
Okay, any other discussion on that?
I'm assuming the answer is yes, but you are going to like the school fairs and like when you're talking about summer help, I know there's. Kids bring in resume, they do interview like that from a summer help perspective,
We haven't been in those, but I sent it to the advisors.
but I do think having a presence at some of those can help with these younger, I mean, especially. Kids that are in construction trades, kids are in, so being a little more intentional about a face with that to encourage them.
Yeah, we've never heard, I've submitted emails and for these different things when we're having stuff, but I've never received an invite for those.
Well,
What was the motion?
the motion was for the security camera.
Oh, yeah, okay.
For it was.
You made it.
7,000? 7,000?
It's about 8,000.
8,000? To, okay, so there's the motion, we've had a second, any discussion, further discussion on the cameras? Keep you guys in line.
A long line.
Okay, all right, we'll go ahead and take the roll, Denny,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes,
Paul,
Yes.
Ernie,
Yes.
myself, yes, motion carried.
Okay.
Thank you for getting us back on track, Paul.
Yeah, that's all I. Let's see, no, there's County 12 bridge.
Yeah.
So Danny and I and Jason have talked about this. In County 12 bridge in Park River, which would be close to their city waterfronts and all that. That goes out to, well, the ball diamond and the golf course and everything else. Over the discussion, we thought about this and everything else, and then what we'd like to do is dedicate that bridge to Dan Sid. The outgoing mayor of Park River. Dan's done a lot of work, he's been an outstanding citizen for the vets and you name it, and being we are capable of dedicating bridge. I guess we talked about it and everything else. I don't know if you guys want more discussion on it. If, I guess we can discuss afterward. I'd like to make the motion that we dedicate that bridge to Dan Stenhouse.
I will second that motion.
Any discussion? I have a question, so does a sign go up or something next to the bridge that says the Dan Stanville
Yeah.
Bridge then?
Yeah, and I'm working with DOT to see exactly how they do on theirs, waiting to hear back on their actual things, but. But if we put a sign on it, would say Dan Stenville Bridge, and we want to modify it, and then sometimes they have ceremonies for them as well, so.
I would like to have a little ceremony, meet them out there, present it.
Yes, Danny.
The state, is it brand new program or whatever, there's other bridges being dedicated to soldiers.
Yes.
And veterans.
Okay.
And I was,
It's one that's kind of, it's been there for a long time, but they're just starting to,
yeah,
it's kind of like it's coming back to the like. For that recognition for the people that have served the country for that.
there was another bridge east of Park River that's being dedicated.
There's a few from the state there, I think there was 5 at the state legislature session this year that were across the state that were all being dedicated. I thought one was like a draft in here too on that bridge, but
Didn't the state actually do a portion of the road too? Was that 281 or something they did?
they've done sections of roads for the DOT, yeah.
Okay, well, I think it's a wonderful idea. Thank you for bringing it forward. I mean, he certainly did have exceptional service over many years
Yeah.
to the city of Park River, so. All right, we have a motion and second on the table. Any other discussion? Okay, with that, I'll take roll. Ernie,
Yes.
Danny.
Yes.
Amy.
Yeah.
Paul.
Yes.
Myself, yes, motion carried.
One thing I did forget to put on the agenda, but is our fuel pumps have been updated. We're running into a couple of issues with it. One of the things that we thought was going to still work with our fuel pumps. Doesn't work with our new system, and that's our engaging systems that we have. So they gave us a price to replace that and update those. That'll be about $50,000 additional to what we already have. We have the funding available through our fuel budget and for our new equipment. So I'd like to move forward and get that, so then I'll be done and working, and we don't have to worry about it anymore. The fuel system to me is a lot nicer for what we have done. Find a few glitches, but it seems to be working out pretty well from my aspect.
Yeah, I think it works well.
Will you be bringing us some bids
I
or?
have one bid is, my computer's died, it was $24,485 for each site. So that's what we have for it from the fuel company, we just did the installs. I can see if ODA has anything else for it, but these guys did on the install with the computer program and everything else, know exactly what didn't work. So they kind of got a leg up on it.
Who's these guys?
Valley Petroleum, they're the ones that just did the install.
Who
The
did it?
bids that we had.
Valley Petroleum.
On
Danny.
We just did a big update on that fuel system, the tanks, or what was it we did here a year ago, or?
Well, they just got done. The fuel pumps just got replaced. We authorized it. Months ago, all the components just finally came, the pumps and Grafton and the computer head with it, all got updated. So those will be fine, but now it's the other component for it, for our monitoring system that we have to have for the state, for making sure we have tests, to make sure we don't have leaks, that's not talking to the new system. Where when everything was brought in, both companies said it would, but it doesn't.
That's disappointing.
Yeah, it is. To me, I think we should just stay with Valley, being they did most of the work. You bring somebody else in and something won't match or do something and.
Yeah, you can bet on that.
Yeah,
The motion, do I have a second?
I'll make a motion, we go ahead with it, have Valley do whatever we need to get it up and running.
Oh, I thought you already made a motion. I'm sorry.
No, I was-
Say that. Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. I'll take roll, Denny,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Ernie.
Yes.
Myself, yes, motion carried.
Any other questions for me? No, I'm done.
Think we're good. Thank you very much.
You got your hands full, Jason? Oh, are the blades out?
Blades are all out. Yeah, blades are all out and we'll keep these 90-degree days. I imagine the frost will be coming up fairly soon too, so. Some people have said that they haven't, that where they've been out digging, they haven't had any issues, but. They're not finding it, but the roads are a little bit different, so.
Ernie?
Before I forget, he called me last week and I'll take it on my heat, if you guys wanna give me heat, he asked about the blades and overtime, and I said, you know what, this is their harvest time. Let's get them done and get them safe, cause they were having issues on 19, and I got a call on 6 at Forest River. And I just told him, I said, you know what, they're out there, 'cause a lot of times they travel 15 miles and then all of a sudden, well, I gotta be back, so they come back for the end of the day and they probably only got an hour left. And I said, use your judgment, and I said, to me, this is a critical time of the year to get these roads in shape. So I gave them the authority to have the guys, if they want overtime, to use it.
I got calls on 12B as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just, that's the areas that they're in, so it's not that you can stay out this late, all the days, is if you're out there, you only have a little bit left to finish it.
Finish it, so. Yeah.
So it's not like they're putting in lots of hours.
So we have 3 blade guys, four blades going. Do they all cover about an equal amount of miles or?
About 70 miles.
You start doing 70 miles in a week and then all of a sudden, you know what happens with all the spring traffic.
You're back to starting over again.
Exactly, they just rotate, and they could have probably been there 2 days ago.
And the stuff on 6 and 19. We were out there, we did the reclaimer, we put the gravel on, we covered up all the mat the best that we could. We went to go out to 19 with that blade in 2 days. And it was all exposed again.
Well, I will tell you on 12B as well, not all of it, but I did drive the portion, north of,
15,
no,
Portville,
Portville.
between 15 and 19.
Mhm. And the day or two after the blade was on it, you could, the gravel's just, it's all washboardy again, so it's just not, it's not fixing the.
We need rain. So, I mean, that was.
Oh, we had a half inch there.
Yeah,
you know.
but a half inch isn't enough
No.
for blading that road to get it down for the pasture and everything else. Then you have to be right on it when you get that half an inch. That road needs a soaker rain. And we need to be able to be there with 2 blades and a packer.
That road needs to be paved, but okay.
I got the call on 6 out of Forest River, the same thing, and I asked him when it was blade, he said 2 days ago. And I drove it, it's just bad, yeah.
Yeah, we've got semis doing 105 miles an hour on gravel, it's like, how do we keep ahead of this?
It's speed.
Okay, good, thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
All right, we are on to, and we are running behind, I apologize, but we're on to Christie, for the first quarter financial reports.
Okay, so first, I think we'll look at the student activity summary report, this one here. I don't know if you guys want me to go through all of them.
I didn't get that one.
I just got this in my,
Look at this.
Anna sent it a second.
I don't have my computer, so.
The balance today.
You talking about the fund balances?
Yeah, with the fund balances, yes.
It's on the web share, or whatever it is here.
The team shares?
Yeah.
Okay, where do you got it under, what's it under financial reports?
I think that was the, so you'll go to the
Fun
agenda.
and
Yeah.
fun.
You'll go
Treasurer's
to the
report.
main, yeah,
Yeah,
and then it's
so-
the treasurers.
It really doesn't matter in the fire.
Okay, thank you.
You got it?
Summary report?
Oh, it's on
Yeah,
the
the
treasurer
student activity,
report.
yeah, the
Okay.
treasurer report, yes.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so this is first quarter, so what this is representing is just January 1st to March 31st of 2025. And I just wanna make note that this is when we're collecting all of our revenue, all of our tax payments and all that, so, it's always, all of the balances are gonna be higher at the beginning of the year, and then we triple it, as we are spending, so. Tony General, do you guys want me to go through all of them? Or if there's any that you guys, we went through them in detail last time.
Last time, I don't
You guys
think so.
looked at, I did clean the report up and got rid of some of the, non-levy or the non-county funds. So these are all strictly, funds that are the counties. Each fund is specific for a specific purpose. But that is the what, those are the balances as of March 31st. And then, I don't know if I'm speeding through it or not. And then the next spreadsheet is just the daily balance sheet balancing to the bank statement to show that is, there is this difference of 0. And there's actually another report that
That's
was,
this one?
yeah, that one there, showing that the bank balances are matching the daily balance sheet.
Mhm.
And then there is one more report, I didn't include it, but that we do use, so we're balancing 3 different reports to 3 different things, and they're all matching up, so.
Okay, can you just show me this 23, 325 where that's?
You're not gonna,
You
no,
won't
you
see
won't
that on
find that,
there?
no,
Okay.
you won't find that on there, that's why we have to use 3 different reports,
Okay.
because it's pulling different things. You know, like on this one, the cash on hand, this is all of the. This isn't just the fund balances and
Right,
stuff like
it's
that.
everything that we
Mhm,
have,
everything.
okay.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
What percent of the taxes do you think we've taken in?
I was gonna look and I didn't have a chance to look, I was going to, I will update you guys next. Next meeting, because, I should. Look to see what the uncollected for. 2024.
Yeah, I just thought in the general fund, when we were kind of at our peak, we were at about 6.5, but maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm remembering wrong.
Um,
And we're at 6.1 now.
so, and then our primary resident, payment of $850,000. We did not get it. And the state tax commission has been back and forth on dates and all this and that, and it was in a conversation with somebody else that another auditor, and I asked them about it, and they got there as well. I tracked it down and the state tax commission sent it to a closed account, Walsh County's closed account. And they were adamant that it did not come back to them, but I guarantee this bank would not open a bank account because of a deposit. I tracked that down yesterday, with the tax commission, and so we did get it today. So that's 850,000. So that will get credited, and so all the entities will get paid out, in June then through May 31st. So that'll bump up, so. Cause we weren't
That'll go
collecting,
into our general fund.
yep, our portion of it, not all, not 850, yep. Our portion of it will go towards it, cause everyone's tax bill was reduced, or all those primary residents, we didn't collect that upfront.
Mhm.
So the state was reimbursing us, and now that got increased to 1,600.
Yes.
So that, I was gonna look, I didn't have time, cause I was tracing this other thing down to figure out how many, Walsh County residents will now have 100%. Taxes, and I didn't have a chance yesterday, cause I was dealing with this other thing, but. There are plenty of them right now that are 100% paid by the PRC,
What's the PRC?
the primary resident credit.
Okay.
Yeah, so that 1,600 should really help, everyone in Walsh County. And then, I just got a letter, on Friday, also from the tax commission, that the trusts, so trusts were not part of it in 2024. And I got a list of like 75 of them that became eligible, so now I've gotta work through all those and do abatements and. We should get payment for those in June, is my understanding, so. So that'll be a little dip that we'll get a little bit more.
Mhm.
Those will get refunded to the property owner though.
Right.
Yeah, those will, yes, yes. But not the 850 that we're getting in, yeah, correct. Yes, so yeah, everything is balancing. Kelsey's doing a great job in the treasurer's office, she did another month, April, and it balanced, so it's good. We're sitting in the right going in the right direction, so.
Good,
Yeah.
good. I just like to comment, I don't know if we ever talked about this before, but I don't know if everyone is aware that this was our first year in the treasurer's office when we took in tax statements, that they were processed within days. Correct?
Oh, yeah,
Very, very timely. In the past, it's been weeks,
well, I think even a month.
even a month.
Yeah,
So I mean, we've made great headway in there, and I was so pleased with that.
Mhm.
Because I was getting calls before as portfolio holder, like, why aren't my tax payments being processed? So Christie set up, she put some new, I don't wanna say rules in place, but standards
Yeah,
or
processes.
different processes there, that's where I was looking for. She put some new processes in place with the staff and tax statements were being processed, I mean, tax payments were being processed daily.
Yeah.
You know, so that was huge. I mean, some of the processes you have put us in place are going to help us for years to come, so.
I hope, don't make me sad, I mean.
I thought maybe you'd reconsider.
Yeah, trust me, it's an everyday thing, I'm fighting with,
Yeah.
but no, yeah, no.
And then when I see reports like this, that come and it's like everything balances to the penny, to the T. I mean, how
Yes.
awesome is this? I mean, this is what we need.
It's good
So-
staff.
It
You know,
is, it
it's
is.
good staff
It's a
and
good team.
understanding,
It's a
and
good
yeah,
team.
absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
so thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
you're
it.
welcome, you're welcome, it was fun, but yeah, I was teasing Kelsey.
It was fun.
It was fun, I enjoy this kind of
Keep
stuff.
thinking we might have a chance.
Yeah. No, I was just teasing Kelsey, I was helping her interface this month and I think she collected like $440,000 in tax payments, for the month of April, and I was teasing her that some days they were processing in the millions, so what was she doing the rest of April, you know? That was just a half a day worth,
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
but, I do recommend having a part-time person come in, that was huge. When Bonnie was coming in, just for
To help.
to help receive,
Yeah.
that is
That was a good
definitely,
move.
yeah, I think that, budget season, we'll have to definitely talk about that, because I think that was. That is what kept us, for sure.
Heads above water.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I don't think the staff was very overwhelmed, and I don't think they were putting long hours in or anything like that, so I think it was a consensus for all of us that it ran really smoothly, so.
Mhm. Good.
Yeah.
And hopefully Bonnie will be available again this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hit the ground running.
Yes, absolutely, so that is the first quarter anyway.
Okay, any questions on the first quarter report? Do you need them?
Looking back, I
feel like
did
we do.
in the
Yep.
past.
Yeah, so do I have a motion to approve the first quarter treasurer's report? So moved. Have a second.
Second.
All in favor, or no, excuse me, we'll take roll. Denny,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Ernie,
Yes,
myself, yes, motion carried. Okay, and then we have unfinished business. This is Christie, you as well, special election updates.
Oh, well, I talked with Ron. I was just gonna
Oh.
give an update on the
Okay.
dates, and we already discussed that, and there's 1,400 ballots, so.
Okay, so. we
Yep,
covered
we're
it.
good on that, yep, yep.
Okay, all right. Any other business? Ernie? Oh,
and
yeah, sorry.
so I gave you those, Todd, I don't think you got one. It's a printout,
I'll get mine.
okay, it's a printout, the last water board meeting that come down from NRCS and all that, and primary discussion is that he felt that the money was still gonna be there. So this is sort of a printout of what it be involved. If you look across Mattoon, Portville, Blinn Dam. With the federal funding, if you look at the red there, our local cost would be 2.723 million. If the federal funding don't come through, then it'd be 7.784. And the consensus was if the federal wasn't there, can we do what we want then? Cause remember how they were gonna do Lankin and change Mattoon and all that? And they thought we couldn't, I said, well, you know, it is what it is, but a $5 million deal, hopefully we don't have to even think about it, that the feds and the money will still be there. But what their plan is to move forward is that they're gonna do all three of them. They're gonna put the bids in there once. Cause the money's there, you know, like he said, it could go away or something change to the funding of the federals and everything else, so. Their major plans and they're gonna move forward with it would be go to that top one where we move forward with all three of them. And our local cost would be 2.723. Well, in the same respect, then how do you finance that? They were looking at the three dams and the acres, I think there are 4,800 acres. So that they'd have to go through an assessment. The first part would probably be just like a 25 cents an acre, just so they can move forward and get all the engineering and all that stuff done. But it'd have to be approved by them and then us as a board here. But that's their plans now is, and they never really gave us a timeline. They were hoping to have this 25 cent deal and everything by fall this year to start the process. So hopefully all the funding stays in place and we can move forward with these.
Well,
So is this a special assessment then?
it will be if they move forward, because they gotta have, you know, they gotta have some money for the bid work and the engineering and all that stuff. Well, where does it come from? So,
Denny,
My question is, do you assess the watershed? Or do you assess the people it's protecting?
Yeah, see, and they haven't decided that either.
Yeah,
Their initial, when I say 48 acres, they looked at how many people have, I'll basically say that, their water goes in there. But they didn't rule out like, you know, do we do it countywide or do we do it what? You know? It's a big water system when you consider all three of them.
no, but I've got a question on that, well, why should I be assessed, I'm not being protected by it?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, it's like any,
Valid point.
it's like any water deal. Everybody always, oh, I don't want it, my water don't go there, you know, and I get it.
But, you know, this is a question to people up on my end, be assessed for protecting mental.
But are they getting a benefit on your end?
No,
So their water don't go into the river?
the water goes in there, but they don't get any benefit from the dam.
Well,
There-
I'll argue.
I know, but there's no protection on that end.
No. So there's no benefit at Natachik Dam when Christie wants, and she's always complaining about the beach, or I shouldn't say complaining, but. Well, whatever, that the beach isn't there and everything else, so those people up there are still using those dams, there's a benefit there.
I know, but the dams weren't put in there for recreational purposes, they were put in there for fun.
I get it.
But I'm not, but that's the
I'm,
argument.
I'm opening up a can of worms, cause I see it both ways when I sit on that water.
I do too, but that's the
Yeah.
argument.
And it's always an argument about, I don't get a benefit, and if some have the right, yeah, some don't, but there is benefit sometimes. Yeah, that'll be a tough one for them to decide how they're gonna, you know, assess it or whatever, yeah.
I will pay my 25 cents an acre and not complain.
Well, I didn't mean that, yeah.
So my question is, the watershed would involve more property owners than those that are protected in years sooner.
No,
No,
I think the watershed would probably
Yes,
be, right, cause the watershed would be the people that. And you know, when we don't talk sheds here, we talk drains or whatever, so that'd be the people that have, basically shows their land draining into these three dams.
And this decision is made at the water.
Well, Waterborne, they don't have to go to the public,
Come to us, I think.
huh?
I think it will eventually come to us.
Well,
I would hope.
any assessment, or when you get, will, any assessment that you do and the water board decides, so let's say the water board decides on these 800 acres. They still gotta put that in assessment and get a vote, and then once they get the vote and the clearance from those people, it'll come to us for the final. Just like any drain, they get the assessment done, the water board approves it, and then they come to us to make sure we want it.
So there's a vote.
Yep.
so could it be both? Could it be the watershed people and the people it's protecting?
There was
Yeah.
there was some discussion about that being a county-wide.
Right.
Because I can tell you that people that come out and use Mattochik for recreation aren't just those that are living right next to Mattochik.
Well, yeah,
Coming from
yeah.
all over, right, so, I mean, some options to look at.
But I'm just saying, this is what we're gonna run into.
Right,
Yep.
right.
Cause somebody close to the county line north over here, are they really getting anything? If you went to a countywide assessment, they're gonna say, what the hell am I getting? Nothing. It's a touchy deal when you start working with water, but I just wanted to inform you that hopefully this goes forward and they move forward and we'll see what happens.
I assume the water board would be bringing us a recommendation.
Yes,
Yeah,
they just wanted me to inform you that this was the money here that we're looking at and they're pretty much moving forward. Which direction yet, they don't really know.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you, Ernie.
Yeah.
Anything else?